The global internet has evolved into the foundational macro infrastructure of modern civilization. It is the central nervous system coordinating global finance, logistics, and healthcare delivery. If this network were to fail simultaneously across the globe for exactly 24 hours, the result would be a systemic shock characterized by nonlinear economic and societal consequences. We have seen the mechanics of this fragility before. In July 2024, a defective cybersecurity update impacted fewer than 1% of global Windows devices. Even at that small scale, the concentration of those machines within critical infrastructure grounded aviation networks and paralyzed payment systems, causing an estimated $1 billion in immediate damage. At exactly 000, the financial paralysis becomes total. High-frequency algorithmic trading depends on low-latency telecommunications to process millions of transactions per second. When those signals die, the primary interfaces for the world's major stock exchanges, from Nasdaq to Tokyo, simply freeze. Regulatory safeguards like market-wide circuit breakers are designed to curb price volatility, but they rely on the same underlying data feeds that have just gone dark. Without the ability to broadcast extraordinary market regulatory halts across the network, exchanges are forced to resort to redundant voice networks and old-school squawk boxes just to notify participating banks that the markets are closed. The global banking system enters a split-brain state. The SWIFT network, which underpins cross-border payments and interbank lending, loses the endpoints connecting its member institutions. Banks are trapped in uncertain liquidity positions, unable to verify if massive intraday credit exposures have been resolved or if messages have even been received. The digital economy does not simply pause during an outage. When communication is severed, the ability to compare internal ledgers with external statements disappears. Until those records can be reconciled, trillions of dollars in digital wealth become unverifiable and functionally inaccessible. Within 6 hours, the disruption moves from the digital ledger to the physical assembly line. Modern manufacturing relies on just-in-time logistics, where components arrive exactly when they are needed. Without real-time visibility into upstream supplier status, production line control systems grind to a halt. In sectors like automotive manufacturing, these data-driven stoppages cost an estimated $1.5 million per hour per plant. At sea, the impact is equally immediate. Modern smart ports use automated terminal operating systems to orchestrate container loading and ship navigation. A global blackout renders these systems inaccessible, forcing container ships to anchor offshore. Logistics hubs rapidly degenerate into insurmountable bottlenecks, and temperature-sensitive freight begins to spoil as cold chain telemetry sensors go dark. National electrical grids face a more acute threat. Operators use SCADA systems to monitor telemetry and balance electrical load in real time. Maintaining the precise voltage and frequency required for grid stability becomes extraordinarily difficult when you are effectively blind to the status of remote substations and dispersed wind farms. This unmanaged load imbalance risks a physical grid collapse. If portions of the grid fail, the black start process, the sequence used to restore power without external help, requires meticulous coordination. Without high-speed communication to synchronize generators across multiple jurisdictions, the restoration of power is delayed by days, intensifying the broader crisis. Urban infrastructure also regresses. Smart cities lose the cloud-based AI that manages traffic light phasing, leading to immediate gridlock in dense centers. Concurrently, emergency dispatch systems lose the IP-based networks required to route 911 calls and pinpoint mobile geolocation data, forcing emergency personnel to revert to manual, paper-based tracking. Modern physical infrastructure is no longer purely mechanical. It is a cyber-physical hybrid that requires continuous digital verification to operate safely and efficiently. Healthcare systems face a sudden regression in clinical safety. Hospitals rely on electronic health records for everything from allergy warnings to medication ordering. When these systems go down, clinicians are forced into downtime procedures, operating without real-time lab results or patient histories. Safety audits indicate that nearly half of patient safety events during these outages are directly associated with errors in laboratory results and medication administration. In developing nations, the blackout decapitates the purchasing power of millions who rely exclusively on mobile money platforms like M-Pesa. Because low-income households use these digital wallets for daily necessities like food and clean water, a 24-hour disruption quickly transitions from a technological glitch to a severe food security crisis. As the hours pass, the absence of authoritative news creates an information vacuum. Deprived of reliable data, humans instinctively turn to localized communication networks. In previous blackouts, these information gaps have been shown to fuel ethnic tensions, propagate rumors, and deepen public distrust in institutions. The inability of authorities to broadcast instructions or dispel conspiracy theories can incite widespread panic. Citizens, unable to know if the outage is a prelude to conflict or a natural disaster, engage in risk-averse, panic-driven behaviors, hoarding supplies, withdrawing physical currency, and overwhelming local emergency services. A digital blackout removes the primary information and support networks that modern urban environments rely on for social stability and psychological cohesion. At the 24-hour mark, physical connectivity returns, but the assumption that the internet can simply be switched back on is technically flawed. The recovery phase is a volatile and protracted technical challenge. Reconnection triggers the thundering herd problem. Billions of disconnected devices simultaneously attempt to sync backlogged data. With global DNS caches cleared by the 24-hour outage, every device bypasses local storage, querying authoritative servers simultaneously. This unintentional DDoS attack overwhelms name servers, triggering repeated secondary outages. Deep within the network's core, routers face a BGP cold start. The Internet's global routing tables are essentially empty and must process advertisements for over 500,000 prefixes from scratch. As cryptographic keys are exchanged and routes flap between states, global network stability can take 48 hours or longer to fully materialize. The most insidious challenge is data integrity. In the financial sector, distributed systems must reconcile millions of asynchronous updates generated during the partition. Poorly designed databases often fall into split-brain scenarios, leading to overwritten files and corrupted ledgers. Rectifying these records requires months of manual labor from financial controllers to resolve missing payments and intercompany mismatches. The 24-hour window of silence is only the beginning of the disruption. Long after the physical connection returns, the logistical and financial sectors remain trapped in a months-long cycle of manual reconciliation, exposing a digital foundation that lacks the autonomous redundancy to recover from